delivered a message that went far beyond our constitutional requirement. It served as a national accounting for the progress we've made. It presented a results-based report card. It also signaled clearly that Liberia has entered a new phase in which determination is beginning to produce real and measurable results for our people. My purpose this afternoon is straightforward. I want to unpack the numbers, the policies, and the progress in a way that every Liberian can understand and relate to. The story of our economy is not only about percentages or projections. It is about the price of rice, the stability of the Liberian dollar, the jobs available to our young people, the roads being paid, expansion and increased access to energy, and a renewed confidence in our public institutions, including the Central Bank of Liberia, the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, the General Auditing Commission, Liberia Revenue Authority, etc. Let me begin with the central truth of the President's message. Liberia's economy is stronger today than it was 2 years ago. And the evidence supporting this is real, clear, incontrovertible. In 2025, we recorded economic growth of 5.1%, which surpassed projections and exceeded the performance of the previous year. Inflation fell to 4% in December 2025, the lowest level in more than 2 decades. Our international reserves increased by 101 million United States dollars. For the first time in many years, the Central Bank of Liberia recorded 2 consecutive operational surpluses. These achievements are not abstract. They form the foundation of a more stable market, a stronger currency, and a more predictable business environment. We also delivered the highest domestic revenue in Liberia's history, amounting to 847.7 million United States dollars. This exceeded our target by more than 43 million United States dollars. It demonstrates that when governance is disciplined, when leakages are closed, and when institutions are empowered, Liberia can finance a greater share of its own development. All of this was achieved during a year in which donor support was abruptly reduced. Many doubted our ability to withstand such a shock, and some even predicted collapse. Yet instead of faltering, we strengthened fiscal controls, tightened expenditure management, and ensured that essential services in health, education, and infrastructure were protected. We did not allow external distortions to dictate our destiny. We kept the country stable, preserved confidence in our institutions, and demonstrated that Liberia can stand on its own feet when discipline and resolve guide our actions. That resilience is not just a statistic. It is the true story of Liberia's progress, a story of a nation proving that setbacks can be transformed into opportunities for reform, self-reliance, and renewed trust in governance. This does not mean we are out of the woods. We are not yet where we want to be. But one thing is certain, that we are certainly not where we were 2 years ago. Today is better than yesterday, and tomorrow will be better than today. And the day after will be better than tomorrow. My role today is to help the public understand how these commitments will be financed, how they align with the arrest agenda, and how they translate into more and better roads, more affordable goods, more jobs, and a more dignified life for every Liberian. This engagement reflects a new culture of openness in which government speaks plainly and welcomes scrutiny. We believe that public trust is earned through open conversation. As we proceed, I welcome your questions, your critiques, and your insights. Liberia is moving forward, and together we will ensure that the progress outlined by the President is not only seen, but also felt in every home, every market, and every community. We also welcome the comments and the statements that have come out from various stakeholders on the President's State of the Nation address. This shows the robustness of our democracy, and ordinary Liberians have been posting their various perspectives, and the traffic is huge, I'm told, on Facebook. And in this one, every Liberian wins. And through the clash and compromise of our ideas, we move to another level. And I'm a proud Liberian to know that we can differ in peace and not in pieces. And so let me now give you, honorable gentlemen and ladies of the press, the opportunity for engagement.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Minister. Thank you, Mr. Minister. So the first question would be, the critics of this government have said that most of the projects you are doing are all rebranded inherited projects. How do you respond to claims that the government is taking credit for projects initiated by the past administration?
Thank you, Mohammed. You know, I said once that the projects that have been implemented are not projects for government officials. They're not projects for President Boakai, Minister Ngafuan, or any other minister or the legislators. They are projects for the Liberian people. And so it is the Liberian people that should ultimately be proud. We build more roads, the Liberian can go to Ghana and other places and boast about those roads. It's not a matter of who did what. Because if that is the case, about taking credit, you know, I personally would take plenty credits. Plenty credits. I signed the $249 million agreement with the World Bank for the pavement of the road from Red Light to Ganta border. You constrained me to talk this. I shouldn't have talked it, but since you asked, I have to say that. You know, I signed, mobilized financing for the road from here to Buchanan under President Ellen Johnson's leave. When I was here in my first stint, we started the Monrovia Harper Highway. I want to be fair. To move from Monrovia to Harper, there are two tracks. One, you go through Buchanan, and one, you go to Ganta. But why are we not talking about Monrovia Harper? We're talking about Ganta Harper. It's because we paved the road. We paved the road. And so our success, I didn't have to be bothered. But we're talking about moving from here to Harper. You will not just jump from here. Maybe you have some witchcraft or other things you can do. Jump from Ganta and just start moving. So we made it, you know, redundant, academic, that can be solved practically. And when we were here, when I was here before, we tackled that road. We tackled that road 2 prongs. While we went from Monrovia to Ganta, we started Fish Town to Harper. When I was here, you know, and we mobilized the resources for the pavement, Fish Town to Harper. And you all know that before 2017. So should we say that this EJS road is for any Johnson, or Augustine Ngafuan that plays some role, or Amara Conan that plays some role, or Boima Kamara? Is it Boima Kamara's road? Is it my road? Is it any Johnson Selling road? Or the people's road? So what is the issue about coming to say, my road, my project? I gave you this. I gave you this just today. Check on the Public Works Ministry website. The Public Works has an announcement on the website. I hope it's here. They are announcing that the road project from Backleville to Sastam and Clonet, I think more than 50 kilometers, you know, that started, that conceived under the CDC government, agreement signed, prior to no movement, you know, some movement started. It is just being the ECOWAS bank through whom, or through which the road is being financed, will be financed. You know, they just got a no objection for the Bay evaluation report for that road. We put money in this budget. We put money in this budget to pay EBIT so that they can continue. When I came in as minister, one of the first things I inherited was an EBIT delegation telling me that government was defaulting on paying its obligation. And we unlocked that. So we could come as a government and say, you know what, this road is in the southeast. But is it the southeasterners not Liberians? We could say, why did we jump into Backleville and we jump over Sino, we jump over Riverside and went Backleville to Sasta and Backleville to Clonet? We could make that argument. We didn't make it. It's on course. So you say, whose project? Liberian people's project. Like the people who live there are Liberians. That's why even when we came, why are we focusing, putting more money on this, the Ganta Hapoha dimension of the road? You know, the issue about regimes. I gave you this. Sorry, I've been long-winded on this, but it's necessary. If you had done the road, we wouldn't be constrained to do it again. What do I mean? If the road was done, because we took it from here to Ganta, that is an incontrovertible fact. And we practically did from Fishtown to Harper. So that was the thing we left. Did you do it? Did you complete it? To give us burden and to getting a new bush and find new road? Did you do it? So are we saying, because you went and touched the road too, huh? We should say that the road is cursed because you touched it? And it's not. It's the Liberian people's road. And so this government will complete. Like electricity access. You know, people talk about electricity, you know. Our electricity access rate just under 30% of we came in. So we invest in electricity. So you say, oh no, we have solved all the electricity problem. You solve all the electricity problem? When less than 30% of Liberian people have access? You know, development goes incrementally. I gave you this example. Assuming the target of the country is to build a 10-story building. Regime 1 starts with a foundation and does floor 1, floor 2. Regime 2 comes in and does floor 2, floor 3, and floor 4, or let's say floor 5. Regime 3. Should we come and say, oh, you know why? No, because these people touch the road, touch that building, it's cursed, we should leave it? Huh? So, regime 3 can do floor 5 to floor 10. That's the Liberian people's building. This issue about regime, people's accounting, Don't do it, because you will lost that game. You lost that game. Because I could come and say, you know, Honor Eddie Johnson said he was a foreign minister. I signed a $60 million agreement for the ministerial complex. Why did he touch it? Huh? Or we could come and say too, under the past UP government, we started the conversation about the overpass bridge. We did. We were not planning ministerial complex, we were planning an overpass bridge. It didn't end with us, right? Commitments were made, but the agreements were signed on you. It should have been delivered. And because it was not delivered, we should say now, because you touch it, right, the crime? No. We ended. As I said the last time, like the hospital, the new redemption hospital. That project started 2016 when excess Ebola money mobilized by the government. Each time I go to the World Bank, the vice president of the World Bank, Mr. Diagana, he raises this project as one of the longest, you know, the most delayed project in his portfolio. Since 2016. That project should have been delivered in 4 years or 5 years. It should have been, they started on the past UP government. It should have been delivered and dedicated by 2020 or 2021. It wasn't. It came to us and it will soon be dedicated. So now people will say, whose project? As I said, there were a lot of times regimes will pass the ball. We pass you balls. You have to score some of the ball we pass you. You score some, maybe? You score some, we appreciate it. So you didn't. And so some of those balls we pass to you, we meet and come right back to us, we'll score the goal. We'll score the goal. And so there's not an issue of who's regime. You know, it is for the Liberian people. And that's why we're focused on.
Great, thank you so much. My name is Oli Roberts from Truth FM, First Interaction. Thank you so much again. Political leader of the Alternative National Congress, Alice Cummings, has some critique. In his remark, he said the annual message Dakota will eat, and this comes in 3 forms of oppression. If Dakota will eat, suggesting that all of the road projects along don't address the immediate bread and butter concern of the ordinary Liberia. At the same time, he called for improved farm to market roads. In your own word, how do you respond to this critique?
Let's see, I follow the prayer, but sometimes I get very busy. And so I will really doubt, sorry for that. I really doubt that the Honorable Alexander Benedict Cummings really made that comment. I will really doubt. It's not that I don't trust you, but sometimes, you know, I really doubt. Because to say to the Liberian people, a quota will eat, I want to see that text. Because, look, when we did the consultation for the formulation of the arrest agenda all across the country, countrywide consultation, and we're asking the Liberian people for the topmost, the number 1 priority, you know, we went all across, including Maryland County, including Maryland County. And you know what the people said? The top priority? Roads dominated everything. You know, for number 2, there was competition between education and health. You know, if the people in Bobolu City hear this, no, I don't think that statement was made. If the people in Lofa, I was just there, you go and talk to the people from city to city, from Salaye to Zozo, to Konian, to Vonderman, to Kulaun, to Foya, to Vaun, you ask them, it's the road. The road. And the best form of a road is quota. And to trivialize, to devalue, and disregard the people's priority, I don't think that statement was made. I really doubt it. and to say that a quota will eat. Let me say it this way. People talk about the bread and butter business. You know, that's why I started to have this engagement. How do you address the bread and butter issue? Road connectivity is critical to the bread and butter question. I just gave you this ABC example. And I'll repeat, it's an ABC example. So ABC example. Think about the road. You heard last year that NTA buses were moving from here to Harper, right? NTA buses moved from here to Vonjima in the rainy season. The road, part of the road from here to Harper paved, some not paved, but it's improved as a result. People used to spend 1 week sometimes passing through Ivory Coast. Do you know the cost of travel to the southeast? Time is money. If you are a contractor working for daily wages and you are traveling to your parents in Maryland and you have to take 1 week, you know the cost to you? So the money now, because you can go in a day, the money you have saved, the money now because of lower NTA buses going there, the money you have saved, you know what you're going to do with it? You're going to buy bread and butter. You're going to buy bread and more butter. So you doubt the connection between roads, quota roads, and bread and butter issue. So until, we're saying that I don't want to be doing this here. So until we buy bread, first of all, loaves of bread, and then butter, and then we establish a ministry of bread and butter, then we haven't addressed the bread and butter issue. Maybe it's one of the considerations I will give to the president. Should we establish a ministry of bread and butter? Do we know what it means for you to have electricity? Let me give you this. Because of the improved road condition between here and the southeast, more farmers brought their goods to market. They brought the goods. They're not getting ratted again. They're bringing food. They're actually bringing us food to eat. And their income, trade, commerce. One of the things that has impacted inflation, is lower agricultural, the prices of domestic agricultural products. They're not in the basket because the Monrovia, the basket, the CBR basket was mainly skewed towards imported goods. Now our products are coming from our farmers. So they don't understand it's not magic. So some people doubting the inflation number. So all these things connect. So, I respect the Honorable Alexander B. Cummings. We cross paths in a lot of professional ways. The political space, as a political leader, I respect all political leaders, and I respect all the comments. But roads remain the topmost priority, and we invest in those things. Because when we invest in all those things, the convergence of the investment, the impact is that they address the bread and butter issue. Thank you.
Minister Augustine Ngafuan from UNDC. Well, in his third annual message to members of the 53rd legislature, the President Boakai announced that the government created 70,000 short and medium-term jobs. The critics doubt that number. Not only do they doubt it, it is basically how do you respond to that?
Well, you are used to critics doubting things we put out there. In 2024, when we put out the $880 million budget, the critics doubted. Go back to your clips. They didn't think it was possible. Remember that? And last year when we the president submitted a $1.2 billion budget. The critics doubted it. They didn't think it was possible. The job of critics is to criticize. And I think they're doing a job well. Our job is to work. We all needed in this agrarian democracy. The president said, in the quoting verbatim, job creation remains our top priority for our man. Remains the top priority for my administration. Our job creation strategy has focused on addressing the binding and structural constraints to growth, including investment in roads and energy. People don't understand the link between investment in road and job creation. But they don't understand. Some people don't understand. I shouldn't say people don't understand. Some people don't understand. Why are we investing in energy? We've been declared eligible for second MCC compact. Energy was the focus first. That's why we have the agro-electric plant. You know, it's the main source of our power, but we stay short. The MCC team was just here, and we have chosen energy again because the access rate is just is under 40%. We came with merit just around 30, is around 39%. Our ambition in the Liberia Energy Compact is between now to 2029 to climb it up to more than 75%. So we'll put more money there. You know, and so what does that do? I just gave you a small little thing about jobs. When the main cost driver for businesses, huge the amount of money they spend to maintain power or electricity. If they don't have light supplied by Liberia Electricity Corporation or the National Grid, more likely they will buy their generator and get fuel. Think about the cost. When you ask many small businesses and say, what is your biggest cost you deal with? They will tell you the cost of power. When we make it cheaper, when we make it affordable, you know what we're doing? We're reducing one of the major costs, you know, expenditure items. And so when expenditure reduces, you know, what happens? You know, to find profit. And profit is the difference between revenue and expenditure. So when you reduce expenditure, what happens? Profit. And when you got profit, what you start thinking about? Expansion. And when you're spending, what you start thinking about? Hiring people. You will not see the link. And the people you hire, what do they do? You will pay them. And when you pay them, what do they do? They'll buy bread and butter. They'll buy bread and butter. So the bread and butter thing, we start with the structural constraints to growth. Maybe the word too big. Talk about structural. They call it probably big things. You know, structural, binding constraints to growth. If we don't address all the main problems that are hindering growth in this country, all the things we're doing will be scratching the surface. If we want big companies to come and operate profitably, we have to solve the power question. And that's what we're doing. So there will be all the what I call short-termism and argument here and there, but you journalists should look beyond. So, coming back to the issue. In 2 years, to that, and the president said short and medium term. In 2 years, you know, when I get one of my assistant ministers here, he knows how to attack problems. And he said something yesterday that was very good. He said, if I couldn't understand this, he asked a question, he said, you know what? When they tell you that you can eat elephant, you say, no, I can't eat elephant too big. But everyone can eat elephant, because they eat to pieces over time, you eat the elephant, right? You know, now we're sorry about borrowing from your concept. Think about it, 2 years. 2 years divided by, on average, 2 years, it's 35,000 per year. Huh? He did a little formula. How many counties? That'd be rough. 15 counties. Huh? So each county about 2,000. 2,000. Huh? 2,000, more than 2,000 jobs per year. So we doubt short term. We doubt that we cannot do that. And people say, it's not possible. It's not possible. What do you mean? In fact, they haven't been accounted for last year. Just this ministry, interns, 277 interns. It wasn't even accounted for. Too many ministries have not even accounted for their short-term or medium-term job creation efforts. But one thing I need to concede, and on this one, I will agree with I usually call him my predecessor, my friend and brother Samuel Duotue. I love to call him Samuel Duotue because I love my middle name. I don't like initials. So people call me Augustine Ngafuan. You don't say Augustine K, right? So I'm saying Samuel Duotue because I love to call people. He loves to be called Samuel. Some people call him Samuel D2. From our early days, I call him Samuel Duotue. He knows that. So for you guys that will be confused, let me give you this environment. He said something in an interview that I agree with. And when they asked him about job creation in this era, he put his hands out. He was very honest about that. He said the capacity we need to do better with the Ministry of Labor and the legislators and others in building our ability to track better systems for tracking job creation. And that's why we started. Have we achieved it? I will be the first to say no. They are doing some rough job trackers, but we're investing in it so that the country can get better and more robust job creation numbers that you all can get. So we're working on it. I learned fully with my predecessor on that one, and we're working on it. But to doubt 70,000 short-term jobs, in 2 years this country, no, we're better than that.
So Minister, you mentioned when you were speaking earlier that our reserve grew by over 100 million. So how much is now in the Liberian people's account as well? And should we be fearful someday that we're going to take some money from them to do mapping?
Well, I don't want to interlope into the central bank governor's territory. In the economy, we are Siamese twins here. The monetary side, the fiscal side. Now I'm a fiscal person. I grew up in central bank. I wear my other hat, but that'll be unofficial now. But I wouldn't talk too much. But I would say that the reserves of the country are meant to be reserves. And when you start getting the reserves for consumption, all these things, then you undermine the reserves. The reserve cover should be able to support, I think, 3.5 months of input. There's a technical formula here. So it affects even the currency, the stability of the dollar. But I'm not talking as a monetarist here today. So I'm a fiscalist, and keep me in my zone.
Okay, Minister, the President in his annual message mentioned about the submission of the supplementary budget to the legislature. And many people want to know, this is the first time in many years, why now? Why the supplementary budget? And secondly, there is this rise in public debt, and it appears that the country is at risk. Can we say Liberia is at risk because of the public debt?
Well, let me deal with that question first, and I will come to the supplementary budget. Our debt stock, as announced by the President, is about $2.8 billion US. The external debt, meaning what we owe the World Bank, other multilaterals, and external creditors, is about $1.6 billion. And domestic debt is about $1.2 billion. 1.2. Roughly the size of a budget domestically. So when people come, sometimes they come with that, government owes me, and I think we just pay. I think, you know how many other people government owes? So, but we're dealing with, and there's an analysis that is done, and on debt thresholds. You get something called, there's an indicator called the debt to GDP ratio. Liberia's debt to GDP ratio is about, I think, 56%, if I'm not mistaken. And in that zone, you will be considered moderate risks of debt distress. Moderate. And if you hit 60%, then it becomes high risk of debt distress. Then below 50%, coming down, you're in the low risk of debt distress. We're in low risk of debt distress. We had a situation where when President Eddie Johnson came in, our debt to GDP ratio was actually above 700%. 700%, unsustainable. Now we couldn't borrow. That's how we had to get on the heavily indebted poor countries initiative and have to meet triggers, hit a decision point, completion point. Some of you are around, and we had almost $5 billion debt, waived under that initiative, thereby giving us the credibility to start to take loans again. When I was here in my first team, for the most part, from 2006 to 2010, the thing we're talking about loans, we couldn't take it. We ran a cash-based balanced budget because Liberia had lost its credibility. So we had to restore it. Now it's being restored. We've been taking financing. And I'm sorry, because this is an engagement, sometimes we want to be able to educate. Debt on its own is not bad. Debt is neutral. It depends on the purpose for which, on which you are using the debt. Because many of you here wanting to build or to expand businesses, you think about going to take loans. Technically, you want to go take debt. You can go to a bank, they gave you, the loan. Depending on how you use it, the loan you take will make you richer. But if you went and used it loosely, it will make you poorer. It will even make you to get into, it will jail you. So debt is neutral. It's how you use it. So when you hear about debt, don't just have this, as I said, we shouldn't demonize debt. Debt is neutral because that's why there's some debt you must take, especially when the debt is going for development. Because there's some analysis we do. We talk about the economic rates of return. If it's going to help you more to expand GDP, I usually talk about this little math. Debt to GDP ratio is one main indicator people look at. So if you take debt, and as a result, the economy expands. When the economy expands, it means GDP expands. So the debt to GDP ratio is a quotient. Yeah? You get a numerator, you get a denominator. If you take, assuming you take plus 5 debt on the numerator, and because of plus 5, the denominator is going to increase by plus 10. So the net effect, the quotient is going to reduce because the bottom there, the GDP has increased. So that debt helps you to even bring down the debt to GDP ratio. So you can't just demonize debt. Debt is neutral. And that's why we're implementing something called a prudent debt management strategy. There. A lot of technical analysis that is done here to ensure that we remain in limits. You asked another question about supplementary budget. Okay. For us to even be talking about supplementary budget today, at this point, I just want to rewind us to last year, around, let's say, March, April, and that you all were carrying some stuff. Go and check your papers and check your clips. The doomsday prophets were prophesying that the sky was about to collapse. When you say pull out, we had a major shock, second largest donor were left high and dry. But due to prudent fiscal management led by the president, the entire team, tighter fiscal controls, while protecting education, health, and infrastructure, we weathered the storm. And revenue was impacted from the beginning, and some people started to predict budget shortfall. And I said, if you all can remember, I said we are working. And we are working tooth and nail, and by the grace of God, we will succeed. And because I used the word God, for some people that was a crime. And they started calling me Prayer Bay economist. And I said, I like that name because after I started in the Prayer Bay. So be friendly. I'll give you guys a story, true story. Everything I do, I put to God. So if people are godless, they don't talk God, but they love US dollars on which it is stated, in God we trust. So we work hard and we pray to God. And we ended in a difficult year. We hit target. We got a little surplus. And we're confirming there are some delayed payments, you know, that from 2025 that are coming in. And we submit a supplementary budget. We say we'll read guys. Supplementary budget. We're going to supplement the $1.2 billion budget adopted. So, in God we trust. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, Minister. Thank you. I'm concerned about the bread and butter issue. And that comes to the real bread and butter issue, which is rice. Okay. And then the president said to the State of the Nation that rice was being sold on the Liberian market for 14.50. If you look at our hostile environment, press control, because on the day the president making a statement, unfortunately for me, I didn't go to work, I went to the market. So the woman yelled, 14.50 cents, and I was kind of like panicking. Why are you yelling for? She said, because I just bought rice, you know, for the amount, you know. So I actually want to know how realistic is the price announced by the president compared to the one in the market that the Liberian people are concerned about as well, because there are two different figures around. Liberia's whole price control has become a very hideous issue now. So I intend to address it so that Liberian cannot be conflicted by price control in terms of rice and other commodities.
Well, the Minister of Commerce will give details on that. They're responsible to monitor and to check things. The official price will differ for many reasons. Sometimes the further you go, people factor their transportation costs, and you know, the further you go, the price will change. But there's an official price. Some people will be doing that for some other reasons. I don't want to, you know, differ with you. But that is the price, and that is the prevailing price in many places. So this is, I'm very certain that my colleague, the Minister of Commerce, and the team there will check and will see, but that is the price officially, and that exists in most of the places. So if there are places that is not a reality, Commerce will check on it and deal with it. But we have to expect that in parts of Liberia, because of other costs that the wholesalers and the retailers are rather incurred, they will put something in to recoup their costs.
Okay. Honorable Minister, thank you. My name is David Yates, and I write for the Daily Observer newspaper. Recently, your ministry came under attack for reportedly removing former Minister 12 pictures from among former ministers.
What you said?
I said, recently, your ministry came under attack for reportedly removing Minister 12 pictures from the wall, among other pictures. How true is it?
Well, Dave, thank you for asking us that question. Minister 12 and I will have a common history. We shall respect. We have common friends. In fact, 12 brother Lawrence is a good friend of mine. We were at the University of Liberia. We were grown in that crucible. We differ. I was on one side, he was on one side. But we feel that we got sharpened because of the, we are men. We're men. Some of them are here. Was never out of heat. Was never out of heat. And the fact that Samuel Doe served this country for 6 years, a historical fact. Whether anyone likes it or not, that's a historical fact. You cannot be revisionist. And so when I came in, one of the things I noticed was the picture of Weah Kamara, whom I took over from, and that of Samuel Doe were not on the wall. And I told my folks, we have to put the pictures on the wall. And they did. The pictures have been on the wall all along. We are very busy people, especially when it comes to budget preparation, December, and all that stuff. We don't sleep. Sometimes we don't have weekends because, as I told you, sometimes in those seasons, our weeks don't end. So that place is a place of traffic. Someone might have hit the picture, and something happened. I think they hit the pictures, and Weah Kamara's picture fell, and Samuel Doe's picture fell. Two pictures fell, and our folks, while they were trying to working on stuff, making sure that we get a stronger frame and doing that stuff, someone went and noticed that the pictures were not on the wall. And they wrote. I really appreciated that they even brought it to our attention, to be frank. The only thing is that they started to, impute motive. The motive, thinking that, outrage, that Mr. 12 had made statement, and I know twice I didn't believe that. I know he didn't believe that. We would be so vexed and go and say, no, we have nothing to do but to attack the picture. What would that do for us? And then they started talking about, and nobody talked about Weah. Weah picture fell. Weah is, at one there, doing well for this country. But in all that stuff, is that Weah was not a former minister. Weah picture fell. Where did Weah? No one talk about Weah. Oh, the Weah picture fell too. And so when we noticed it, immediately we instructed, and the picture went up. The pictures are up. So there was no motive. No motive. It was regrettable. And I said again, it's a historical fact that Samuel Doe served this country for 6 years as Minister of Finance. And no one can blot it out of history. Thank you.
My name is Prince Sar, and I report for the newspaper. Honorable Minister, the President on Monday reported improved revenue performance. What are the main drivers of this growth, and how sustainable is it?
Well, he cited the mining sector as one of the main sectors that contributed to the growth, agriculture and services. But besides that, improved what we call tax administration, efficiency in tax collection. One of the strategies we put in motion to deal with the shock that we experienced was to close leakages, try to be more efficient in tax collection. We started to digitize systems, and it's getting more and more of the future. When you take away manual interventions, you improve the credibility of collection. So that started hugely last year, it's going to increase this year. And some of our projections that we have made, are informed by all of those things. And the credibility of the country has improved. More and more people looking at Liberia to see our country moving forward. And let me say this, maybe I'll say at the end. Let me keep it at the end. So we are working with all the revenue generating entities. We have empowered them in the budget. We're taxing them to do more. And we have regular meetings with the LRA and other revenue generators. Mr. Golo is here, working under Mr. Myers, but he's the point man responsible for tax policy. They work, and sometimes days, they don't sleep. So one of the reasons why we could achieve that is because days, Golo, many persons, Double Jala, the team at LRA, many of us don't sleep. Because they don't sleep, Liberia can sleep. I say, and that it's in strategy, strong team, and I like the coordination between all the fiscal, all the managers of the economy. Central Bank is doing its part, working in coordination with us, and we are there. We are backstopping each other, and so it's that synergy that is helping the entire economy.
Minister, there are some Liberians who are still skeptical about government implementing these promises, especially things containing the arrest agenda for visibility. What do you say?
Well, sometimes it's good to have skeptics, right? Skeptics are not bad. They help you too. They keep you on your feet. So that's why we do not fault anyone for criticizing. Sometimes the criticism will be fair, sometimes it will be unfair, but they can criticize. We learn from it. We did not come here, the president doesn't say, and we at the Ministry of Finance, we're not paragons. We are humans, and we listen. We every day trying to improve. Is that humility, and professionalism that we have adopted. We don't say that anything said outside there is nothing but verbiage. We listen. My team, we're always in our situation room, and we're concerned. That's why we have any needs to put right down there near the elevator. We have suggestion boxes. We listen to people, and some of the things. Sometimes we take cue from some of the things some writers. Our Facebookers. We have Facebook economists. They give me some good ideas. Yes, we take, we share, we react. So we're not vexed with what people say. Sometimes it will be fair, sometimes it will be unfair, but let them continue. It helps our democratic credentials. Yeah.
Thank you, Minister. I'm Nelson Collector-Spoon. I have two concerns, and the first one has to do with how current the salaries of civil servants are. I remember we had a series of engagements here last year, and you emphasized that salaries are current across the country, across the different sectors. But then at the last part of 2025, in December, I remember specifically, there were concerns, especially from the legislature, that some of the staffers didn't get the salaries. I remember they even had some sort of protest or whatever at some point. What can you say about that with respect to the currency of the salary? Then my second question, quickly, has to do with the everyday activities of the average Liberian citizen. I don't know if this has come to the attention of those controlling the fiscal and monetary policy of the country, but whenever an average Liberian takes, for example, he wants $5 USD worth of electricity, you take Liberian dollars to the vendor or whatever, you are asked to add extra amount. Given the current rate, you add extra amount, maybe sometimes $150 or $100 extra. In the case of the scratch cards, if you want to buy a scratch card, you have to add extra amount despite you having the actual value of the $1 or whatever in Liberian dollars. What can you say about that? Has that also come to the attention of the ministry?
Well, that tells you some realities that the Ministry of Commerce and the government will have to deal with. People who take advantage of situations, and you all in the press, you are partners in progress. And price stability is merely a function of central bank. On the fiscal side, we support that, and the Ministry of Commerce monitors. So largely that shouldn't happen. But I think that there will be actions through effective monitoring so that our people are not taken advantage of. In the market, there could be wholesome people performing wholesomely, and there could be people with unwholesome intentions that may do things against policy. So government will have to continually monitor and make sure that his intentions are not being deviated from in the field. So I'm very certain that some of our colleagues from the Ministry of Commerce are listening, and there is a call to all of them. We at the Ministry of Finance, sometimes we get some issues and we transmit it to them and other sector leaders to take some action. And that's what we are doing and will do.
And then the first question on the salary issue.
Well, the salary. Oh, okay. On the salary issue, you know, we've been largely current with salary payments, and we're serious about that. You know, one of the things that we are dealing with is more and more people are being migrated on the payroll. More than 3,000 volunteer teachers, health workers have come. And you see, there was an argument, even in the budget process, why personnel costs went up. And I started to force personnel costs will go up. Government services are expanding. Even in this year's budget, we are taking up the pay burden of the workers at ELW Hospital, because that hospital was on the brink of closing because of financial difficulties. The president intervened and the government had to salvage it. We say it's a private hospital, but given how critical it is to Monrovia and the urban population, we cannot sit idly by. So the government of the Republic of Liberia will start to bankroll the salaries of ELWA nurses and health workers there. So at the tail end of the year, some entities overshoot their personnel budget. Some entities. And then we have to reconcile. And dealing with the tail end reality caused some issues. Some of them have to be supplemented. We have to take money from some other places to give to them in order for them to deal with the salary challenges. I don't want to go in details here because I'll be nimmy and shimmy. So when all that will happen is that finance hasn't paid. But if you operate within the scope of your budget, it's not an issue. But some overstep. And then the CSA, working with the CSA and others, we had to solve the problem. Also, there was a migration problem. We're migrating to a new payment system where some of the people were getting Liberian dollars 100%. The new system requires, because we pay 70% US dollars, 30% Liberian dollars. And it was meant to give them hard currency instead of 100% Liberian dollar, where they are subjected to the exchange rates 100%. Now the new system, to help them, the 70% should be US dollars. Unfortunately, some of them, the time to establish the US dollar account took some time. And so in dealing with the situation, we did some emergency thing where we had to revert the Liberian dollar so that some people got paid. Some in that process, we didn't exhaust. There were a group of people that did not get, we didn't finish with them. But the controller tells me that we're almost done. So it was not a problem of lack of money. But I think everything is stabilizing now. And these government workers, we now have 70% US dollars and 30% Liberian dollars instead of being subjected to 100% Liberian dollars, you know, and be subjected to 100% exchange rates. Although the rate has stabilized largely, thanks to what we're doing in conjunction with Central Bank, but we want to be able to have all government employees. We can have many persons getting 70% US dollars, 30% Liberian dollars, and then people in the education sector getting 100% Liberian dollars. So the intention was good. The implementation has been taking some time, but we have reached a point where we can say that it's almost finished.
Just a quick follow-up. What is Liberia's current wage bill, and what's stopping us from using a single currency?
Well, that single currency debate is a long debate. You know, before there's something about de-dollarization, all that stuff. It has its own side, positives and negatives. One of the features here, people tell people that one of the things that when people are selling Liberia out there, they say we get dual currency, and you can use US dollars. People say, oh, so investors like that too. Some people say, okay, but it creates complication and blah blah blah. So everything has its good side, everything has its bad side. That's a debate Central Bank is leading on. I don't want to interlope too much in Central Bank's territory. But I call on before we were at the university, the Economic Student Association and others. Those were debates that they were calling. You know, I call on I have some professors here. They teach, although they work with us, but I tell them, encourage your students. These debates, it cannot just only be politics. You know, nowadays, we debate a lot of stuff. So these are debates that the press people should come to. ISA, ASA, and all the SARS, and all the universities. If you take on some positive issues, then we'll support it. And I gave a current call to all these universities around here, to the extent that you can take up topical issues, take them up. The ministry will support some of those things. Let the conversation get professional. Everyone is so vested in politics, but as a result, the substance of issues sometimes, you know, we miss them. So.
We'll take our last question from Weah.
Okay, my name is Weah for KM Radio. Minister Ngafuan, I'm privileged to ask the last question, and then I will basically just ask you. Donor support reduced last year. How did the government manage to keep it afloat? And my second question, which I want you to be honest and realistic to the ordinary people. This much talk about 2 years of a stronger economy and inflation, how is it translating into tangibles for the ordinary people in the rural parts of Nigeria?
But it's good to see you. Well, quite frankly, I've been so busy since I came back, you know, I haven't gotten a courtesy call. But thanks for your contribution. But you were saying that inflation and tangibles for people, rural. No, most people in rural areas, they are productive people. How is it translating? It's everything the government is doing is translating gradually. And let me put it this way. Do I say, and that's what we say, do I say that all the problems have been solved? No. No. If we say that all the problems have been solved, then we underestimate the magnitude of the problem. No, let's be honest. We are saying in 2 years we've made significant progress. But I will compare this thing to adjoining to Banga. Sorry, I get some Banga people here, so I'm not trying to pick on you. But if you are, let's assume our AARD target is that in 6 years, or now 4 years now, we should reach Banga. Like we have some targets in the AARD. We want to reduce multidimensional poverty from 45% to about 36%. We want to take the country to a lower middle income status. GDP per capita of $850 US to about not less than $1,050. That is a 2029 target. So what happens is a journey. So we've gone 2 years. And sometimes people create an impression that we are a 6-year regime, and they juxtapose our performance against 6 years government or regimes. In other ways, we're very well. 2 years versus 6. And make it look like, but this is a 6-year journey. So think about it. If you're on a path to Banga, and your destination is Banga in 6 years, right? In 2 years, you could estimate that you want to be a salada. In 2 years, you want to be a salada. So, I know Filala is beyond salada, right? You guys know this more better. Filala. Say it very better ways. Okay. So, I'll just make an example. We are at Frenala. Although we wanted to be at Salala. But have we reached Banga? No. So, we haven't reached Totota yet. So, the detractors will come and say, let me tell you the whole thing about critics and what have you. The journey we haven't traveled, they'll come and say you haven't reached there. But then we say we have reached there. Huh? No. They don't count from red light to Frenala. And we should have been on Salala, we haven't gone beyond Salala. So they do what I call the exception. They talk about the exception. The thing you haven't achieved. They downgrade all you have achieved. It's like you take a test, a 10-question test, and you pass 8. You fail 2. What is the percentage? 80%. But you know, the critics, they know their job. And then they will zoom on the 2 you failed. And make it look like you have failed 8, you wouldn't pass 2. That's their job. And they're doing their job. It's our job to say we pass 8. So there will always be exceptions. There will always be things that we need to do better. That's why you guys are there for the press to say, oh, this other one has not happened. But we don't say we have reached destination. But one thing is clear, we're not realizing. Some will want to make it to feel that nothing has changed. The road to Banga is a journey. It's a journey. It's a development journey. And can anybody, clear-eyed, full-throated way, go and look themselves in the mirror, but no person can lie to. They say that no progress has been made in 2 years. Don't forget all the debates here. Go and look yourself in the mirror. You can get lie to the guy you see there. You can't lie to that guy. Progress has been made. So you will pinpoint things. I will end on this note. Because you can zoom in on the negative and make it so large and make the exception to look at the reality. The first time I went to the US years back, everybody would glamorize America, right? Somebody told me, I said, I wouldn't call the city because some of my friends that stayed in the city. Somewhere. They said, come and see America. I went to New York, I went places, Michigan, Minneapolis, Chicago. I went to somewhere, someone said, come and see something. I went on the street and I saw dirt on the street. And I don't want to tell you the other thing I saw on that street. I took pictures. Then I came back to Liberia. I could do something. I could go and take that picture of the dirt. I said, this is your America. But I would be unfair. Because I would be zooming on the negative. But I saw that street, I also saw New York. I also saw Chicago. I also saw Minneapolis. So you want to find negative? You will find. The U.S. we're talking about, it says the world-best economy. Follow the news. You want to find negative? There are negatives. Liberia, you want to find negative here? You will find. And President Boakai doesn't say that all of Liberia's problem has been solved. That's not what we claim. No. That's why I continue to say. You know, I don't know whether you have any more questions. Okay. Because I continue to say that we are not where we want to be yet. But we are not where we were yesterday. Because today is better than yesterday. And tomorrow will be better than today.
Honorable Minister, my name is Anthony Williams. I'm from State Radio. In President Boakai's Sona, he did mention the restoration of national infrastructure, including the laying out of major cities across the country. He also did mention the restoration of old structures like buildings. He also did mention the relocation of the Palm Coast Cemetery. I'm more concerned about how we intend to finance these projects and sustainability and timely completion of them.
Well, the budget process is dynamic. That's why, you don't have a crystal ball to be able to predict all the things that will happen. So we also have partners that we're dealing with. We're dealing with partners, bilateral, multilateral, but the budget process can react to these things. So the president made a commitment, and the commitment will be appropriately resourced.
Yeah. So thank you. Mr. Minister, in the president's report, he said he talked about establishing a planning department, and we are concerned about that also because we have planning commission, also because we have planning Ministry of Finance here, have planning department here also. Liberians are concerned about the money coming along to establish that particular commission. How do we fund that particular commission when we also have a planning department here at the nation?
Well, the president is the leader of the state, and the president has the right to propose amendments or restructuring of state institutions, and that's why we have two branches of government. The legislators will weigh in, and then you have a bill, then you have the act. An act brings the executive and the legislature together on an issue. So, from the president's vantage point and from the analysis, he feels that this is the way to go. And he said that, the plan is in the making. So, and when the legislature adopts, approves, it is the responsibility of the legislature working with us to fund entities that approve. So not only just be that, but other entities that have been approved, we fund them. Yeah.
Minister, the final question before the end of this. Following the live on Facebook, someone has raised the issue of agriculture. There is this issue that the Minister of Finance slashed the agricultural budget, and the government has placed premium on agriculture. What is it? Have you slashed the budget, or there are other sources of funding for the sector?
Well, let me explain this thing here. The flow to a sector comes from two streams. The budget is one stream. Development partners, support we mobilize. We have a whole aid management session here. She's our head for external resources. Aid management is on our Mrs. Williams. We mobilize the money for all these projects. There are some sectors that we call donor darlings. And there are some that the donors don't put too much money in. They leave it primarily on government. Agriculture is one of the donor darlings. So the total amount of money to agriculture has not reduced. I gave you evidence. Some of you were here Friday. We signed, Jaheen, I think you were here, a 25 million euro grant, I'm not saying loan, to agriculture sector.